560 KSFO. You're listening to Michael Savage. Coming up at 3, it's Mark Levin on Talk Radio 560 KSFO.
Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, author of Stop Mass Hysteria, Michael Savage.
'Cause I'm a tax man. Yeah, I'm the tax man.
Little old Beatles to start off the Monday. Nobody knows anything, so don't let them fool you. Welcome to the show. I don't know who's going to win. Do you? Every poll, this one's up, that one's ahead, that one's ahead. Republicans are going to sweep. They're not going to sweep. There's going to be a red wave, a blue wave, a pink wave, a yellow wave. No one knows. But then again, if you're in the radio business, you have to fill up 3 hours with hot air making believe you know. So in order not to join the crowd of the know-nothings, I'll tell you I don't know. I have no idea. Do you? You don't know. You're all experts. So that's number one. Now, if President Trump came on this show, which you won't do, what would you ask him or say to him? Apparently, he's not interested in the Savage Nation anymore, which is fine. I'm still supporting him, but apparently you don't matter because now it's Fox News 24/7 in the White House. But if President Trump ever would have come on this show, what would you ask him or what would you say to him? Now, let me go back to the polls again. Polls are unpredictable. As we all know, Indies and Repubs tend to not reply to pollsters. I never have. But here is the naked truth. If the Republicans manage to hold on to all three branches of government, meaning the House and the Senate, will we have endless riots and upsets until 2020? Would the nation be better served by a split government where the rat bum Democrats control the House and they can vent and make believe that they have some power? I'm asking it for a good reason. Now, I've got many replies to this on my Twitter and Facebook feeds, and most of you say no, let it, let's get it on, can't arrest people. But why is the turnout so high? Why is voter turnout so hysterically high for this election? Donald Trump has a lot to do with that, for sure. The lying fake media has a lot to do with that, that's for sure. But we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. In fact, during the show tomorrow, we still won't know. That's the odd part. I'm going to have to do this again tomorrow and tell you I don't know. Because the show is on from noon to 3 on the West, 3 to 6 on the East. And the polls will still be open, so we don't know what's going to happen, But I'll tell you what I am going to do for you today, which is this. I live in the crazy state of California. Now, I've lived here since 74. I love the geography of the area. I wouldn't trade it for any place on earth, or I would have moved a long time ago. But it's a very difficult place to live if you're a rational, sane, American-loving, white, heterosexual, Christian, or Jewish male. I will tell you that. And so I opened up my voter information guidance sample ballot, and I thought I'd share with you what will happen in the rest of America should the crazy leftists win. Here are a sampling of some of the state propositions that we have to vote on, and wait until you hear the prices of some of these. Now, of course, for the governorship, we have a choice between a communist and a Leninist on one side, and then we have an American independent governor, John Cox, who I definitely recommend you vote for. Vote all Republican or independent. Vote no Democrats unless you want more corruption and more bankruptcy. Proposition 1 authorizes bonds to fund specified housing assistance programs. Okay, so now you read into the... authorizes $4 billion in general obligation bonds for existing affordable housing programs for low-income residents. Then they throw in veterans, farm workers, manufactured and mobile homes, infill and transit-oriented housing. I don't know what infill housing is. Fiscal impact, increased state costs to repay bonds, averaging about $170 million a year over the next 35 years. Did you hear that number? $170 million a year over the next 35 years to build housing for low-income people. Proposition 2 authorizes bonds to fund existing housing program for individuals with mental illness. Now, if it included the legislature in Sacramento, I would vote for this immediately. If they were to be immediately interned into a mental hospital, they would have my vote instantly. But it amends Mental Health Services Act to fund No Place Like Home program, which finances housing for individuals with mental illness, ratifies existing law establishing the No Place Like Home program, allows the state to use up to $140 million a year of county, I'm getting bored already, $2 billion in bonds. Proposition 3 authorizes bonds to fund projects for water supply and quality watershed, fish, wildlife, authorizes $8 billion in state general fund bonds, infrastructure projects. Oh, that's a boondoggle. That's for the contractor mafia to get some building jobs. They don't have enough. They're rolling in money. $430 million a year over 40 years for the contractor mafia. Proposition 4 authorizes bonds funding construction at hospitals providing children's health care. Again, for the children. Authorizes $1.5 billion in bonds to be paid from states. I don't even know what it does. To do something in a hospital for children, I don't know what it's for. Proposition 5. I can't even follow that one. I have a PhD and I've been in the business a quarter of a century. I can't even understand Proposition 5. Here, Proposition 6 eliminates certain road repair and transportation funding, requires certain fuel taxes and vehicle fees be approved. Now, that's an important one. Everyone's talking about this one. This is a biggie. This is a big deal. Fuel taxes, we want them gone. Let's see what happens there. Proposition 7. The liberals have a thing about daylight savings time. They all want it eliminated. Conforms California daylight saving time to federal law. They want the legislature to change daylight saving time. I don't know what the libs are against. Is it because they have to get up when it's dark out and they're all stoned in the morning? What's the problem with the daylight saving time? I love daylight saving time. I like when it gets dark early. It gives me less to do during the day. I don't really. You want to face more of life day and night? Proposition 8 regulates amounts outpatient kidney dialysis clinics charge for dialysis treatment initiative. How did that get on the ballot? How many people are getting dialysis? Okay. Proposition. This one I don't understand. Prop 11 requires private sector emergency ambulance employees to remain on call during work breaks. I've heard ads like this around the clock on the local radio station. What in the world is this? A law entitling hourly employees to breaks without being on call would not apply to private sector ambulance. Why is that an issue? Okay, here's another one. See what happens when you have a liberal government that's out of control. Now, here's one about farm animals. Maybe you can relate to this. Prop 12 establishes new standards for confinement of specified farm animals, bans sale of non-complying products, initiative statute, establishes minimum requirements for confining certain farm animals, prohibits sales of meat and egg products from animals confined in non-complying manner. Fiscal impact, state costs up to $10 million annually to enforce the nation. I'm 100% for it. I want cage-free birds. I want I want the cattle to roam the prairie, whatever, the land. I don't like them in cages. It makes me sick. So that's where I'm 100% unpredictable when it comes to animals, and because they all look. If you don't even if you eat animals, which I do, you have to understand that the animal is a creature that feels, and so when you're eating an animal that's in fear, and you're eating an animal that is terrified its entire life, and you eat that meat, you're actually eating some of that animal's. If I put it in the word karma, you'd think I'm crazy. It's not the karma. There's probably some chemical reactions that wind up in the meat that you wind up getting, which is why there's such a high level of anxiety in this country, amongst other reasons. I stand by those words. Look, I'm not Rush Limbaugh. I'm not from Cape Girardeau. I understand things that people who call themselves conservatives and live in the 50s don't understand. I've evolved. They haven't. God bless them all. There's room for all of them. But, man, I am so tired of being lumped in with the lumpen. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think it's funny to kill animals. You know, I was at a party Saturday, and a friend of mine, who I won't mention, nice guy, military guy, is having his birthday party out at a ranch up in Sonoma. I didn't know what to expect. Now, I've lived out here for 25 years, so I drive up. It's in the foothills of the wine country. Go down the country road. You see the trucks. It looks like a cartel ranch, but it wasn't. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying it wasn't like a pretty little ranchette by a gentleman. This thing looked like like El Chapo. Like if El Chapo had a ranch in Mexico, that's what it looked like. The old big trucks, you know what I'm saying? Also, old farm equipment, ruddy road, dust. I didn't know what to expect. I go in a hangar. Now, if I were a liberal from New York and I walked into that hangar, they would have called 911. They would have probably had to take a pill and call 911 and an ambulance. It was filled with men and women in army fatigues. Like 50, 100 people in military fatigues. Yeah, picture a woman from New York walking into that hangar. All right, but it's a nice party. My friends, I knew some of the people there. And one guy after another came up to me. My friend said to me, he's from West Point. He graduated West Point, 2 tours in Vietnam, paratrooper. I mean, these were wonderful men. These are the bedrock of America. So one of them came up and said, "We love your show very much, Dr. Savage." And I said, "You guys are the backbone of America. I'm only the voice box." You know what one of the men said to me? Men said to me, said, "Yes, but a very important voice box." I mean, this is the kind of gentleman. These are the people who keep this country going. And then I wake up and I see this piece of garbage on Saturday Night Dead, which is a show only for junkies who don't work. And there's a comedian, truthfully, I swear to God, I'm not being sarcastic, I never heard of this schmuck, mocking a former Navy SEAL who lost an IED blast. I want you to listen to this piece of trash, this waste of human DNA who is below Kim Kardashian in clip number 2.
This guy's kind of cool, Dan Crenshaw.
Oh, come on, man.
Yo, hold on. You may be surprised to hear he's a congressional candidate from Texas and not a hitman in a porno movie. I'm sorry, I know he lost his eye in war or whatever. Whatever.
You hear these pieces of crap? You know, $100,000 to see this piece of garbage released into that airline hangar where I was with all the military men, without his bodyguards and without his entourage and without his drugs, and then close the door on the airline hangar. I'd like to see what happens inside that airline hangar for the first 5 minutes. I give $100,000 to video that and release it to the public. I think I'll take a break.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now.